All right, good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Bible Study, Christ's Way to Spiritual Growth. We are on lesson 14, continuing on the topic of health and holiness. This is part two. Before we begin this study, let's have a word of prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the health message that we have, for the lesson we had last week, and as we dive into the topic of health this week, we ask you'll send your Spirit to be with us in our study. Give us understanding, Lord. We thank you for asking these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So this is going to be an odd study because there's only a couple of texts in this one. Most of the texts we studied last week. So today we're kind of zeroing in on particular aspects of health. And this is actually going to be split up over this week and next week. So I'm going to start with a quote from the book Ministry of Healing. It says, pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water, trust in divine power. These are the true remedies. Every person should have a knowledge of nature's remedial agencies and how to apply them. I do want to point out that this does not mean you don't need to go to the doctor. It is not what this means. It just means that these are things that you can do to help improve your health, help you recover quicker when you get sick, things of that nature. Not trying to substitute for a physician. All right. But when you read that, uh, I had to think about abstemiousness. It sounds like abstinence almost, but it's abstaining from excessive uh, excessive things. Because even things that are good for you, you have too much, it can be bad. Right. And all right. So, and what the author did, he took some information he got from the Weimar Institute. They built a whole program around this statement, and they used the term, the acronym N.E.W.S.T.A.R.T to describe it. So, and of course, I have right here on the screen, you can see N is nutrition, E is exercise, W is water. We're going to cover those three this week. The rest, S is sunshine, T temperance, A air, R rest, T trust, we're going to cover next week. And this is very similar to the last health program they did at the church. They covered a lot of the same issues. All right. So when we stop and think about last week's lesson, right? How do you think these principles would have applied to Christ's life? Picture how we talked about how he lived and what he did.
Well, I would think exercise would be easy because they walked every place.
Yeah,
So
there were no power tools in Jerusalem
And he
or
no,
Bethlehem.
you walked
outside getting the
and
fresh air
yep,
and
and you
sunshine.
worked. So walking and working and stuff was all exercise. And
And I imagine, when he made things for people, I mean, a lot of times he's probably working on houses, but I mean, uh, you wonder how he got the materials there.
he had to bring
You know,
them.
yeah, he had to bring them, right? He didn't have a truck to throw them in. He
No.
might have had a cart that he could load it up on and pull.
Mhm.
He might even have had a, donkey or something to pull it. We don't know. Either way, it was a lot of physical labor. All right.
And we
And of
didn't,
course,
and nutrition, they didn't have a lot of processed foods and stuff. They had to make their own food from what they had. So there
yeah,
was stuff added to them and
it was still a very much agrarian society. So they still lived off the land, lots of farming going on. Um, they had a lot of fish because
Yeah,
were
you
near.
hear about it, the
just
fishing.
needed to
Yeah.
make sure they ate a lot of different things and not just one thing, because one
Mhm.
thing's not so good for you, but
Nope.
Well,
balance.
when he cursed the fig tree, it wasn't like he was looking for figs, so obviously he ate other
Fruit and
things.
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, rest, we've read about it. We've read, you read about him resting at various times within the Bible. What's in the middle of a storm, but yeah.
Yeah. We know that he, at times when he would get we would call it maybe fatigued. He would seek
Yeah.
solitude and rest.
Mhm.
He obviously he trusted God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see. I expected he was he was temperate in everything. I mean, just from what we read, we don't see him like indulging in a whole bunch of things or doing things.
Yeah.
You know.
No, he was what was I said?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think like you know how John the Baptist abstained from
Oh yeah.
wine and all that. Jesus also abstained from all those things.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Of course, water and sunshine, self-explanatory. Talked about that already. All right, so we see that he pretty much lived like that, as did many of the people in his day, lived that way. All right, so this week's we're going to study the principles represented by the letters N-E-W, starting with nutrition. All right, so we're gonna, because there aren't a lot of text in this, we covered all that last week. We're going to kind of share some of the bullet points. But let's start with this first question I had. What does the phrase "you are what you eat" mean? How would you interpret that? Let me scroll this down a little bit. Like the answer.
Yeah.
Well, if you eat a bunch of things that are bad for you, or let's look at the other way, 'cause we always have to go to the negative. If you eat a lot of things that are good for you or good for your health, helps, mental acuity and all that fun stuff, then you're gonna generally, no, I'll say generally be in good shape. Because there are people who all do the right thing, but because of genetics, still have issues or where they work. So
Yeah.
whatever you put into your body
Yeah,
is
is what you make up.
it,
So
I mean that's what I mean, that's nourishment. That's what your body has to eat off of and form energy and grow and build cells and all that stuff. So if you put things in that helps all that, that does more to help all that, then you're going to have a better life, so to speak. You're going to have a healthier life. You're going to have more energy. But if you put in those things that don't healthily feed all those things, then you're not going to be as healthy. You're going to have issues.
Okay.
So you kind of create yourself in that sense.
All right.
Probably create, but I can't think of a better word
That's
at
right.
this point.
Let's think a little bit more literally about this too. Where does your body get the materials to build the cells in your body?
from the food
Food?
and stuff
From the
that
food you eat, right?
right.
Yes.
All right. So the body needs certain materials to build certain cells,
Right.
right? So we eat the food, it takes the material that it needs to do that. What does it do with the rest?
Gets rid of it.
Eliminates it.
It gets rid of it or stores it
Or stored. Yeah, some can
or
be
stores
stored.
it.
Yeah.
So we know where elimination, obviously follow that to the natural conclusion. We know where that goes. And when you store, of course, it just stores it wherever. Typically, the body will convert it into fat for use later. Um, so those are two areas where, people have a lot of issues with the elimination part and of course with storage. Um, so we really literally are what we eat. So if we eat a lot of junk, that's a lot of stuff that's just getting wasted or stored and not really going to develop and create new cells. If the body tries to build cells out of materials that's not appropriate for it, then you start getting problems. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say in my very convoluted way.
That's okay. That's right. I
God
thought,
made us a special way to process certain things.
Yes.
And if we start eating things that weren't meant to be processed or too much of certain things, then it processes it badly. It's
Yeah. And if you're eating a bunch of things that don't have the items that is needed, then there's nothing your body can use to do all that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's either stored as fat or it's eliminated, and you don't have the nutrition that you don't have the components that are needed your body needs.
Right.
Yep.
To
And
function properly.
I would say, oddly enough, my own personal situation, because of my cancer journey and the changes in my body there, my body has actually lost the ability to process some of the
Yeah.
healthy things that we're supposed to eat. So it goes straight to the elimination part, which is, so I got to be careful about, I got to be even more careful in that regard. I can still eat healthy stuff, but it has to be prepared a certain
Prepared a
way.
certain way.
So it's it's interesting. Um, all right. Yeah, for those of you who are asking, what do you do to your body? It's genetic.
Yeah.
I inherited a mutation that has made my life different. All right. So, bullet point number one, and I'll read this since I kind of talked about it already. Food is the fuel for the body, and it helps to construct all its tissues and cells and supplies it with the energy needed. What happens if you're not eating right? Well, what happens when we're not eating right?
You lose energy.
Lose energy, right? Because we might not be getting enough energy from the food we're eating. Or
You
we
can
could be,
get sick.
we could get sick. Our bodies may be having to pack a lot of stuff into storage and it's just getting stored
You get fat.
wherever. Yeah, and that can cause circulation problems. Or you could get sick. Um, what happens to your car? And think about this. What happens to your car if you fill it up with inferior gasoline and oil?
Does not run very well at all.
No, it doesn't, right? It doesn't. It's rough. You actually cause damage to the engine. You could even start smoking. Now, I'm not saying if you eat wrong, your body's going to start smoking, but you might start emitting some fumes of the sort. So that's another side effect. All right. So we do need to be careful what we put in. Let's look at bullet point number two. And we're going to come up to a Bible verse here in just a second. All right. So when taking care of your vehicle, should you follow the recommendations in the manufacturer's manual?
Yes.
Right? We would all think that would be a good idea if the owner's manual tells you to put in a certain type of oil. Say, I think our Jeep says what, 5W30,
I think so.
right? I'm not going to put in 20W50 because then it's not going to be the right consistency for the engine. All right, so let's look at Psalms 139:14.
I mean,
Yeah, Nicole's going to read that one. Carmen, if you can get ready with Genesis 129.
okay, Psalm 139:14. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well.
All right. And so the psalmist here is saying that he was fearfully and wonderfully made by God, right? So God made us, God is the manufacturer. So let's see what directions God gives us for fueling our bodies. Genesis 1:29.
Genesis 1:29. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
Right.
Food.
Yeah. So we look at this, sounds pretty much like anything with seeds,
Yeah, that's what it sounds
right?
like.
Was meant for us to eat as food. So I've had people argue that, well, nuts don't have seeds. I'm like, nuts are seeds. So
It's like,
you can eat the seeds, including the nuts. So we're fine with that. So, but obviously here we're talking about a plant-based diet,
mhm.
right? So next bullet point here. Nicole, can you just read that for us? Oh, I'm sorry. Is it hard
There's
to
a
read?
glare. Grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables in proper combination contain all the elements of nutrition, and when properly prepared, they constitute the diet that best promotes both physical and mental strength.
It's funny when people talk, when they first hear someone's going to a vegetarian diet, they say, well, you're not going to get any protein. Well, proteins are found in nuts and beans, legumes.
There's several vegetables too.
Yeah,
I've
some
looked at,
vegetables,
I specifically looked.
right? You can actually get more protein in your diet by eating nuts than you can from eating a steak. So, that argument doesn't hold any water, right? So let's take a look here. So we've read about what our ideal diet from the manufacturer. Now let's take a look at what the average person's diet looks like today and how it's affected us, right? Keep in mind, we produce enough food to feed the whole world, yet it's not easy for an average American family to enjoy a wholesome meal. We actually have people in this country who suffer from malnutrition and in some cases even starving in a country that probably waste more food in a year than most countries consume. It's insane, it's crazy. But what kind of things do we tend to eat in this country?
Ultra processed food,
Ultra
sugar.
processed sugar. Uh-huh. Right. We have a tendency to eat a lot of fast food too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We like everything instantaneous, including our food.
Yeah.
Right. That's why everybody has a microwave.
Yeah.
Us.
Very fast. So if it can be ready quick, because we're so busy with our lives. I mean, honestly, that's a whole different study.
Yeah, that's a whole different study. We
did talk about
We
it.
have talked about that one
We're
already.
not going to go back there right now.
All right.
But no, as I say, yeah, anything that can be made quick. So, and a lot of times that has a lot of the nutrition removed from it
And
because
the
to get
sad
it,
thing is actually you can make good food for you sometimes fairly quickly. You just have to realize it and make the time to do so. So, clean
Yeah.
it and then cut it up and you can have it. And as opposed to just popping that ready-made frozen dinner in the microwave or in the oven or something like that. Just
Yeah. I remember one time I made a nut loaf and I took it to work. Well, I took some of it to work. It was leftovers, heated up in the microwave, and I was sitting down in the break room to eat it. And someone comes and said, "Oh, that looks good." And so I cut him off. You want to try it? He says, "Yeah." He says, "What kind of meat is this?" I'm like, "Well, it's nuts. There's no meat in here." So then I realized maybe I should ask if you had a nut allergy.
yeah.
But I didn't think that would be a problem. I'd seen him eating lots of candy bars before, and I know that they're generally processed places where there's nuts.
Yeah.
People with nut allergies avoid those. So we look at the next bullet point here. It says, we indulge ourselves in eating too much of the wrong foods and hardly any of the right foods. When we go to the grocery store, I look to see what other people are putting in their baskets. And man, they'll be loaded up, 8 cases of soda. I mean, it's just the whole bottom of the thing just covered with soda. They'll have
Powdered
soda, as
powdered
though that was
donuts.
better for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the powdered donuts, the sugary
cereals. Yeah.
white bread.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of stuff that's no nutritional value.
Yeah.
Or it's so little nutritional value that
Yeah. By the time they get down, I mean, they skip the produce section completely, which is right there by the front door. They just go right past it.
They go for the canned, probably.
Yeah,
Well,
Well, I pass it too. It's the last thing I get because I don't want it to get smushed by anything else that might be in my car. So I always hit it last on my way out because it's the first thing. So it's the last thing before you get to
It probably depends also on how the store is set up. Where we shop now, it's hard. It's a pain to get back over to it. So
yeah,
we have a tendency to grab it. We just put it up in like the little buggy part where if you had a child, they would sit there.
Yeah.
Right.
But the other store before we moved,
it was
you could go to the back and come straight up and then cut over to the
Yeah.
registers.
We would go all the way to the back, start shopping there, and the produce
Yep.
section was up front just before you get to the register. So we could do it that way.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
technically you can do it that way now. It's just it's very awkward.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
we have a tendency to go ahead. But yeah, it's like, but and we're not talking about just shopping, you know, like if you're in line behind somebody at the grocery store, because you sit there, what else you gonna do? Read the magazines there on them. They're yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's like you're
You
watching
normally
these,
stare
they
at what
put
they
all
got
this
on the,
food up.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they got their meat. Lots and lots of meat going up
Mhm.
there. And what's funny, some of these people actually think that they're making good meals. So, it's they don't a lot of people don't know any better.
Yeah.
Um, or they're just not paying attention to what doctors are saying. All right. So when we look at that, we're going to look at the effects. So coming down to the next bullet point here says such harmful dietary practices contribute to all kinds of health problems. Let's see how many we can name.
Diabetes,
Okay, that was quick.
high blood pressure,
Okay,
high cholesterol.
let Carmen answer.
You got my first three.
Huh?
I got more.
I mean,
Well, you think about it. My family's like a smorgasbord of health issues.
Yeah.
We're just going down the list. Has to do with this.
Mhm.
yeah,
Boom,
the
boom,
heart
boom,
stuff
boom.
with the
Yeah.
cholesterol and the high blood pressure and the
Heart disease.
Heart disease, yeah.
stuff, and
Um,
you got
liver and kidney disease,
pancreas stuff, and
yeah,
Pancreas.
pancreas.
you know, and
Anything like a bunch of like the liver.
A lot of cancers are traced back to dietary concerns. So that's an issue.
well, you also have hair issues that could be
Yeah.
Mhm.
positive or
And teeth.
negative depending on, and teeth and stuff,
Yeah.
because
Gums.
My hair issue has nothing to do with diet.
no, not all of it does. A lot of it has
Yours is
genetic,
all genetic.
but
Yeah,
sometimes
and
some of it
age.
has to do with the diet and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and your teeth and stuff, just bone, the whole
I
bone,
said bone
and
Bone.
health.
that whole
Yep.
thing, because if you're not eating enough certain minerals and stuff that you get from your foods, that doesn't help your bones sometimes, and
Yeah.
because you do need
Now
calcium and other types of stuff to help that.
he didn't bring out that what you just talked about, minerals and vitamins and things, so much in the book. A lot of people take a lot of supplements to try to make up for their poor diet.
Yeah.
But the body doesn't absorb those as well
No.
because it's not coming from the natural source.
Mhm.
So,
They help a little bit, but it's best if you can get it
yeah.
naturally. If you have a good doctor, they'll even tell you that.
Yeah, the good doctor will tell you, oh, you're just making expensive urine. Your body's going to eliminate most of that.
Yeah.
Um,
I actually had a doctor tell me that.
yeah, I've had a doctor say that too. He asked me what supplements I took, and I said none. I said get everything I need in my diet. He says, well, that's actually the best way to go. He said, I just
Right.
need to cut back a little bit on everything I need. I'm a little too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that here in a bit too. All right. So yeah, we're on number 4 now. So just as we need to feed spiritually on the unadulterated word of God, because we talked about what happens if we take in a lot of the wrong stuff, how that affects us spiritually and mentally, right? If we're not mentally and visually taking in the right things. The same thing physically, right? We need to feed physically off the natural foods that God has provided, just like we need to spiritually feed off the word that God has given us.
Yeah.
Right. So that takes us down to the second one, exercise. And I love it when people say that, they're going to lose a whole bunch of weight by diet. And I says, well, unless you're simply eliminating calories, if you're actually reducing the number of calories you're taking in, you're not going to lose any weight. Just changing what you eat, if you don't increase your exercise,
Yeah.
won't do the trick. A diet alone is not enough to fix a wrecked body. All right. So exercise affects how the body absorbs and circulates food throughout the body. We're talking here a little bit about some ways to help that. And more than that, it enhances every physiological bodily function and thus strengthens and revitalizes the whole being. I know when it's weird when I'm sick or just not able to get my normal exercise in, it actually makes me feel worse, which is terrible. So I took it to heart when I was in the hospital, and the doctors told me if I wanted to get out quickly, I just needed to start getting up and walking. Of course, he didn't mean right away. I didn't catch that part. So so I
The nurse is looking after you.
yeah, yeah. So they thought I was still bedbound and I was out roaming around with my IV and all that. So um I got chastised properly by multiple nurses about that.
And told on.
And told on. Yeah, they tell the other nurses coming in after him, go watch him. And so they would all made a
Well,
point.
they told on you to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, to him too. When they switch, the nurse would always come in now, just make sure if you need to go for a walk, you tell me. And I'll get someone to go with you. I'm like, okay. All right. Um, so let's think about this next phrase. How does the phrase, what you don't use, you lose, apply in this area?
Well, I think I understand. So if you're someone who retires and you had been fairly active before you retired, now you're retired and you don't really have anything to do, so you sit in front of a TV all day long, all of that muscle strength and all of that bone and stuff that you'd had because you would move and do stuff starts to kind of degrade. And when you
Yeah.
get up to do some of that, it's painful and you don't want to do it because you don't feel good doing this. So
Yeah.
I know that's one thing that could happen is you
Yeah.
become, and
We've
most of us
had,
have lots of sedentary lives. You have to do more. You have to force yourself to do more because unlike back then when all the travel was by foot or by horse or something, everything was more physical than it is today. At least here, it's not that
Yeah.
yeah,
all over in the over the entire world, but here in the United States, it's pretty
yeah,
mechanical for everything.
absolutely. That's why I've always said the secret to a long retirement is not how much money is in your bank, it's having a purpose after you retire, something to get you up moving and doing things and not becoming a couch potato.
Yeah.
Um, People who suffer that, they get all kinds of health issues and ends up actually cutting their retirement short. So
Mhm.
that's not a good thing.
Well, you've heard of people who were active and busy and everything, and then it's like once they retire, it's you hear about them as like, oh, he retired and he like died 2 years later or something. It's because I say it's like he was bored. He bored himself to death
Yeah.
because he wasn't getting that stimulation and he wasn't doing things and
Right.
Yeah, but think about the also on the flip side of that, and we all know people like this. You've got that 90-year-old lady who's been retired for 30 years, who's got this beautiful garden that she's maintains,
yeah,
right? House is always immaculate. She's always uh doing things, having people over or
Right.
going. So they're active, they're doing things, they're getting out, getting the sunshine, getting the air, getting exercise activity. Um, Also, they're probably getting a lot of rest. I bet those people go to bed early, probably get up early too, but that's fine. So yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it. So when we're talking about your physical health, if you're not doing things to keep your body healthy and active, then your body's going to lose the ability to maintain that
Mhm.
healthy and active state.
Yeah, Kevin's grandmother used to do crossword puzzle all the time. And so, she did them a little bit before she retired, but I didn't know her before then. But after that, because I only met her after she'd retired, she was always doing, she always had one in front of
yeah,
her every time we'd come. So
Mhm.
mentally, she kind of kept herself moving that way, at least that kind of kept her mental faculties
right.
going because
Yep.
she's always working different types of crossword puzzles and stuff, puzzles.
Yeah, that's important too. You got to exercise the mind as well as the body. Remember, we
Mhm.
talked last week about the whole being, mental, physical, spiritual. So it all ties together. Interesting thing, the author does go over this. What happens, as an example, what happens to an automobile that just sits in a parked garage and never gets taken out for a drive for months on end? He had a story where he had a car that was in perfect working condition, put it in a garage, left it in there over the winter months because it evidently was not, he moved to an area where there was really bad weather in the winter. So he left the car parked all winter long. So it sat there for like 5 or 6 months, and he went to get in it, and it had trouble. It wouldn't run well.
Yeah.
He was able to start it, but it wouldn't run well. And we took it to a mechanic. It had sat so long, and it has because he didn't start it or anything, that the fuel had actually gummed up. Because it will. I mean, think of what the
Yeah.
fuel is made out of. It's made out of petroleum, which is a thick oil thing. So it actually gummed up his filters, his fuel lines, pumps, and everything. And so they had to do major work to get it running smoothly. And
No
then
doubt. Oh, wow.
he told him, you need to take that car out and go on long trips. Frequently, the car was made to be driven, right? If you're not someone who's going to drive your car on a somewhat regular basis, you're better off not having a car because it's not gonna keep up. So, which was an interesting story. I knew that because my dad was a mechanic, but seeing him explain that in the book, I says that's a really good relation.
Mhm.
The way he correlated that. All right. So, if lack of activity can immobilize a well-running car, how much more can it wreck our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being? So think about
Yeah.
that. If lack of activity, um, if you've ever experienced times when you couldn't, right? Think how that affected your other areas as well, not just physically, but how that affected you emotionally, spiritually, all of that.
Well, I know when I was laid up after my knee surgery, it drove me insane after a while.
Hmm.
Because
Well, I think emotionally that's problematic in this country somewhat. When people lose their jobs and then have a hard time finding a job or going without it, they end up going without a job for a long time because they're just not able to get one. I mean, maybe you're 50 or plus, so you're having a hard time getting a job because people just don't want to hire you because you know,
yeah,
you're older than what they want. And so that makes a problem. So I think people emotionally have issues when you also can't, things don't happen right away. So I think that causes problems when
It's
not purposely
interesting.
for them, but it was a result of something that somebody else did to them. You know what I'm saying? By losing your
Yeah,
job and that type of stuff. So that,
yeah. I actually had a conversation today at school. We had exhibitions at school today. We get people who come at from the community. The students have been preparing uh, presentations summarizing, uh, their experience, how they've grown and developed, what their plans are for the future, and give them feedback on it. It's to start to get them geared towards making presentations and thinking about life after school. But one of the gentlemen who came into the room I was in, I got to talk to him, one of the panelists. He's actually from the mayor's office uh, uh, in Indianapolis. And during one of the breaks, just talking to him, he goes, well, how long I've been here? I told him I've only been teaching for 3 years. And so we got talking about how that happened. And he started talking about retirement and says, well, this is my retirement. This is my plan. It's like, this is what I wanted to do my whole life. Uh, I'm happy doing it. It's uh, supporting all my needs. I'm making a positive contribution, right? Staying active. Why would I want to stop? You know, and this summer here, I'm a week away from a 9 week vacation. So now I deferred my pay to get paid over the full 12 months to make sure that I had regular income coming in. But he found that interesting that that was actually uh, my thoughts are I'm just going to work until I can't anymore, or until it's no longer fulfilling me in those ways. Have a plan. And then of course we've talked about it before. If I ever got to where I couldn't work like that, I would probably be looking for volunteer opportunities all over museums, the zoo, things like that. Keeping busy. And with me, I got to be out
Yeah.
with people.
He can handle about a week. So this summer should be interesting.
Oh, it's
Well, you have grad school work you're doing.
I got grad school work we're doing, and right here, like in the heart of Greenfield. So there's thousands of people within walking distance.
Yeah.
The librarians are going to get to know me.
Yeah, our library is within walking distance.
Yeah.
Are you
So
still near the trail where you are at now?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, that's not within walking distance.
But there's
Oh.
one that actually goes by the library where we live, the main branch,
Uh-huh.
that kind of goes down the road and around a little bit. So
Yeah, I mean, I could go
Oh, that's
walking that
nice.
way if I want, but I probably won't go too much past the library
yeah.
because that has all kinds of things I like.
Well, I'm in like the opposite direction.
But yeah, so you got to keep active. All right, where are we?
Here's the
So
summary.
here's the summary of the benefits of regular exercise. All right, so one, exercise. Oh yeah, Carmen, you want? Sorry, yeah, I'll let Carmen read a bullet point. If you want to read the first bullet point for us,
So are we at the first one there?
yeah, the first bullet point.
Exercise strengthens the muscles and helps the bone to retain calcium and its marrow to produce red blood cells more efficiently.
Mm. That's important, right? We need the red blood cells.
Especially women, especially need calcium.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
think about that. Yeah, if those are two areas of concern, you just need to start getting some exercise, or more exercise, frequent work. For me, the red blood cells,
Yeah.
it was a concern because ever since the chemotherapy and the radiation treatments that I went through for cancer, uh, I don't have as my red cell production has suffered. It's slower. So anything that can help improve that is a good thing.
Mine is too high.
Your red blood cell production is too high?
Mhm.
You don't hear about that very much.
No, you don't hear about that.
Yeah, no, they were trying to figure out what was causing that. They have yet to do that, but yes, mine
You're
is too high.
exercising too much. Huh?
Yeah, exercising
that's
too
not-
much. You need to go
I
spend some
need-
time on the couch.
I need
I
to
don't think a
exercise.
doctor
I don't
would
think
say.
I don't think that's really
They
it. I
have
just
yet
thought it
to
was
figure
funny.
out why my red blood cells are too high. Oh well.
Interesting.
I didn't even know that was a possibility.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
That is
Yeah.
something else. All right. You want to read the second one?
Sure. It improves the circulation of the blood and forces it to reach all parts of the body, supplying it with proper nourishment and maintaining an adequate temperature.
All right. I can testify to that one. This one,
Yeah, the circulation.
it
Yeah.
has to. So I've had conversations with my students. I said, Mr. Wall, why don't you ever sit down? I do have, up until this year, I didn't even have a chair to sit in my classroom because I never sat down. The desk that I had was that I was using was one of those tool chests, the big ones with a flat surface up on top that you stand next to and you can work on stuff on there. So that was my work surface was right there. That's where my laptop was and all that. But I didn't have a chair. This year I actually have a chair and a desk, which I've sat in during class. I've probably sat down maybe half a dozen times. But it's because I'm moving around constantly, keeping the circulation going. Again, because of the neuropathy, so that helps. It keeps the blood flowing, getting out to my extremes, and not just the organs. And it does help, of course, regulate temperature, which is good because my hands can get cold very quickly.
Yes.
All right. Number 3, I'll read this one. All right. So it massages and strengthens the heart. I did not know that. And thus helps that organ to accomplish its needed work with less effort. So I knew it strengthened the heart. I didn't know that it massages it. And so that's kind of cool. All right. Number 4, Carmen, you want to read that one?
Sure. It stabilizes blood pressure and lowers the heart's resting rate, thus promoting the health of the heart arteries and veins.
I kind of knew that.
All right. So if you have blood pressure problems where it fluctuates, that'll help stabilize it. So it could bring high blood pressure down, could bring people with low blood pressure to bring it up, um, and help level it off. Um, all right, number 5.
It helps with food digestion and absorption, especially when we take walks after meals.
All right. So I remember when we did that health program at the church, they were talking about going for a walk like 30 to 40 minutes after you eat.
I think that's what they said.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to retake it, so
Yeah, I think it was about that. I know it says within the first hour
yeah.
after you eat, it helps to get things digested and it prevents blood sugar from spiking.
Right. I
So
remember Kim and Paula saying that. Mhm.
yeah, I remember them saying that. So that's a helpful tip. After you eat, go for a walk. I mean, it doesn't have to be right away. Maybe give that food a little bit of time to settle, and then go for a walk. It'll help your digestion, which I was inadvertently doing that before I learned that. All right. Number 6, it aids in maintaining an ideal weight by building up needed muscle and burning off extra fat. I think everybody
We're all
was
aware
aware
of
of
that
that.
one.
Everyone's aware of that. There's still some question, if your primary mode of exercise is walking, which mine is for a number of reasons, um, as to how many steps or what your target should be. I know that somebody had once set a number at 10,000 steps. They said that was kind of arbitrary. And while that's probably is good for most people, a lot of people don't actually need to hit quite that high. So
I think that's why a lot of times now they're saying minutes
yeah, they're going for minutes
instead of
instead.
steps.
So let's say, how many minutes a day do you walk?
I think they tried to do steps to try and get the less active, just like have an actual number, like as to shoot for.
Mhm.
I don't know, make it like seem like it was possible to do.
Yeah,
But now they're going back to that. Or is it 150 minutes a week?
something like that. Yeah. All right. Which was that was
About
number
6.
6. All right. Number 7. And that's back to Carmen, I think.
Yeah.
It makes the body more efficient and eliminates waste and impurities.
That's good.
Did you know that it would? I know
I know that.
I knew that because it's
Your
one of the
doctor
things my
told you.
doctor told me
Yeah.
because I was having issues after all the surgeries. But yeah, it does. Believe it or not, not only does it help you digest, it helps all that activity and movement helps keeping things moving. And since I've started doing that, I haven't really had a problem in that area. So that's fantastic. Number 8.
It strengthens the immune system to ward off disease.
Okay.
That kind of makes sense.
That kind of makes sense. I think most people understood that. The exercise makes your body healthier. Obviously, a healthier body is going to be more able to fight off diseases. Number 9, it forces us to inhale deeply the life-giving oxygen, enabling it to permeate all the tiny air sacs in the lungs. So it gets you that breathing
Yeah.
deeping. That's why it doesn't have to be strenuous exercise, but it should be enough to get the heart rate up and get that breath going so that you can impact those air sacs in the lungs. And then number 10, back to Carmen.
It helps the brain to produce hormones that give us good feelings and a sense of vitality and well-being.
Okay. So I kind of suspected this. I've heard of people, get hit like the runner's high
Yeah.
when they've been exercising for a bit and they just all of a sudden, and it's like they break through a wall and then they just start to really feel good. And that's hormones doing that. I don't know how much you have to exercise to experience that. I know when I'm going for my walks, just getting out in the air and walks, I get those good feelings. Probably not the same thing as a runner's high, but because I'm certainly not putting the output out that they are. But still, even for less extreme forms of exercise, you can still get those good feelings. And then number 11.
It relieves physical stress as well as emotional tension. I can testify to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I know a lot of people who tell me they feel a whole lot better after they have a workout. Um, I know some of the teachers I work with when they've had a stressful day, they say they're going to go hit the gym
Mhm.
and they work out all the tension, and afterwards everything's great. All right. And then this last little note I took from the book, it says mobility is life and exercise vitally affects every aspect of our existence. So uh, keeping mobile, keeping exercising so that you maintain that mobility is important to all the other aspects of your life. All right. And the last thing we were going to look at was water. Um, the book did point out that Jesus took this common commodity and used it as a powerful object lesson when he depicted himself as the water of life. Right? Without water, there is no life. We know that in the Bible, water is one of the things that is used sometimes as a symbol to represent the Spirit, um, often used to refer to Christ. So a lot of importance put onto it, right? And if you think about the human body, how much of the human body is composed of water?
80%, isn't it?
Not quite.
So let's
Yeah, I don't remember. I just know it's a lot.
It's about 70%.
70. I was saying 80, so you know.
Yeah, it's about 70%. And that's a lot. I mean, without water, we'd be in bad shape. It's actually people can go much longer without food than they can without
Yeah.
water. There's been documented cases where people have gone 90 to 100 days without eating, but after 6 or 7 days without water, bad things happen. Uh, People start dying, right? So the body needs water. And if we have that much water in us, um, and think of how all our systems do when we drink in the water, right? It talks in here about cleaning that out. We'll get there in a minute, but it flushes out the impurities. But if you're not drinking any water, you can't flush out the impurities, and everything starts clogging up. So it is important. So, what are some of the benefits of this life-giving substance? I forget where we're back to me.
Well,
Here's Carmen.
did you read that mobility is life? You want to count
I did.
that?
I'll
Okay,
count
then.
that. It's back to Carmen.
Then it's
Carmen,
Carmen.
Okay.
can you read point one?
Sure. More than any other beverage, it is the best and most efficient thirst quencher.
Yes, it is.
Very
It
true.
is. And
You just finished yours.
I finished mine. Mine is gone.
Yeah.
Right. It is the best and most effective thirst quencher. Effective thirst quencher. Yes, it is. Uh, let's see, number 2.
It is a solvent and a dispensing vehicle for nutrients throughout the body.
Right. So think about that. And when you eat, the way those nutrients get dispersed through the body is, of course, through the blood. But to get there, right, it has to be dissolved and dispensed into the blood system, which is done through water. The water breaks it down, then it gets absorbed in through the walls of your digestive tract and into your blood cells, and then through the rest of your body.
Mhm.
Right. And number 3, just as water is an effective cleanser of the body externally, think about that. We need to keep clean on the outside to keep healthy, right? We also need to keep clean on the inside. Book pointed out, in particular, the kidneys require lots of water in order to adequately get rid of dissolved waste matter. He pointed out, I think right now the common understanding is 6 to 8 cups.
Yeah.
Depending on the person, it varies, depending on, of course, your size and some other factors. But that's a good rule of thumb, right? 6 to 8 cups. And we've got those water bottles for tells you you drain it. It marks on here, drink this much in the AM, then fill it back up and drink that again in the PM. And if you've done that, you've had your daily water
Yeah.
supply.
It is, they do base it now, to be a little more accurate, they do it based on your weight. I don't remember what the percentage is, but you take a percentage times what you weigh, that actually tells you how much you're supposed to drink in a day. So for some people, it's a little less, some people it's more, but they do say generally if you can stay around eight, like
Yeah.
64 ounces, eight cups, that's pretty good for just about everyone.
Odds are good. If you're in that 6 to 8 range, you're getting enough. All right. You can always check with your doctor
Yep.
for the accurate amount. And we think about that. What happens in the washing machine if you fill it up with dirty clothes, but you only fill it up a third of the way with water and then you run it? How clean do your clothes get?
Not very, they don't really.
They don't. It just makes a big mess because now not only are they dirty, but they're damp.
Yeah.
And so it's bad. It really is bad. All right, so let's look at number 4. Back to Carmen, I think.
Mhm.
Drinking plenty of water builds up resistance to disease and helps prevent headaches and colds, or helps get rid of them easier.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, headache can often be a sign of dehydration.
Yeah. That seems to be the common answer now. So my pig tells me I have a headache. I was like, well, how much water have you had? Go drink some water.
I can't tell you how many times in school when I have someone, a student who may be acting up a little bit or saying they're not feeling good, and I'll send them out to get some water, and they come back and they're just 100% better. Part of that is getting them away from the environment and getting them
Yeah.
out. So I've broken the chain emotionally from where they were, but the water also has a physical impact. It helps them feel better very quickly. Right. I haven't had it actually help anyone get rid of a cold yet that I know of, because his kids are
Well,
schools are a plague factory.
It won't be an immediate cure, but they do say if you can stay hydrated,
Stay hydrated.
then yes, it does help with
Because
that.
it
It makes
eliminates
it,
all that bad stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Follow that
How many
out.
of us have been told by the doctor to drink lots of fluids?
Yeah, exactly. That's like a common thing. It's like, well, go home, drink lots of fluid, and rest. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
My doctor tells me that every time. Lots of fluid. Well, he doesn't tell me the rest thing, but he does tell me
lots of fluids.
because I guess I get adequate rest. What was that, number 4?
Yeah.
Number 5?
Water and its treatments can also soothe the nerves, reduce fatigue and stress, assist the mind to think clearly, and help us overcome irritability and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense. Because think about like that story, the picture you always have. You had a very stressful day, and you're like, you come and you take a nice warm bubble bath or a shower
or a hot shower. Yeah,
hot shower.
For me, a shower just does it like that. Even if I don't feel dirty, if I just
yeah.
am on edge.
Sick. And also if you can get in the shower, there's like something about even when you're sick and you're able to get in the shower, it helps immensely also. Just there's something about doing that.
And I know hydrotherapy has become quite the rage in a lot of areas. A lot of people really talk big about that. And it's just using the effects of water in special circumstances to help you feel better. So when we put all this together, we think back to our discussion last week. Remember, we talked about the body being the temple of God, right? How do these principles all help us care for God's temple?
Keeping it in good shape.
Right? Keeping it in good shape, yeah.
Good shape.
Yeah, we're caretakers, right? It's his temple. We want to keep it clean. If we were
we're keeping it clean, we're keeping it strong.
Right. If he had left us the keys to his house and wanted us to take care of it, we'd go in, we'd clean the house up, right? We'd water the plants and do all those things to keep it looking nice, maybe mow the lawn, or hire someone to mow the lawn. But we get it taken care of. We should do the same thing with our bodies, right? We should do the best that we can with what we've got. Some of us have done a lot of damage already. And so we're looking at make the best of what you got, starting where you're at right now.
And repair what you can.
Yeah, repair what you can. Following these steps will help to actually alleviate some of the issues that we may have created for ourselves, if not eliminate them. Um, and of course, if your doctor is giving you advice, you always pay attention to your doctor. I don't want
Yes.
anyone saying I'm telling you not to. I'm a full believer in doing what the doctor says. From the conversation tonight, you know that I went through chemotherapy, radiation therapy, fought cancer. Glad to say I fought cancer twice now, and I'm still going strong. So doctors do know what they're saying. God gave them gifts, just like He gave teachers gifts and pastors gifts, and we would be foolish to discount those gifts. Um, all right, and that's actually the end of the study. I told you it's a little different tonight.
Oh, wow.
Not a lot of text. There'll be more text next week when we finish up in the second part, when we talk about start. Any closing thoughts? No? All
No.
right. Well, let's close it out with a word of prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the principles that you've given us, the guidance you've provided in your word to help us not just spiritually, but help us physically to make the best of the life that you've given us here on this earth. Lord, for now, as we do our best to take care of the bodies you've given us, and we long for the day when you'll give us the new bodies. Until then, Lord, you'll ask us to help them make the best with what we have now. We thank you for constantly looking out for us and watching us over us and all that we do. We thank you for asking these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.